Hi everyone, my name is Simon Misiewicz, and in this video we're going to be talking about service accommodation versus houses of multiple occupation, HMOs, and what's the difference. Now, anyone watching this video thinking, what on earth is a service accommodation anyway? You may not, you may think, get on with it, I know. But service accommodation is a furnished holiday let, so FHL. So service accommodation, very similar to service accommodation, it's very similar to furnished holiday lets. There are going to be lots of people that say there are distinct differences because service accommodation could be used for business purposes, not just furnished holiday lets. But tenants purposes, they are there for short stays. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up. So what is classed as service accommodation? Well, to answer that, we need to look at service accommodation. It typically refers to furnished holiday lets, which, as I mentioned before, is for short term. Now, for tax purposes, the property must be let for 210 days and actually let as short stay as 105 days for you to get the tax benefits. Oh, wait a minute. What tax benefits? That's right, it's been scrapped from April 2025. The whole purpose of furnished holiday lets and the tax benefits you get no longer applies. So really, it's still going to be classified as a buy-to-let property. So really, if you are going to be running service accommodation or furnished holiday lets, you need to now make it from a business perspective, not a tax one. There are no tax benefits anymore going forwards for furnished holiday lets or service accommodation. But it is there for short stay only. So a person coming to your property won't be staying there for much longer than, say, 6 months. They'll be there for 1, 2, maybe 4 weeks, but typically not longer than that. What is the meaning of HMO accommodation? Most of you will already know this. This is for houses of multiple occupation. That's where you've got 3 or more tenants. And typically you'll find them grouped together as students where there's a university, or indeed, if it's professional, you may have a house near a city centre where people cannot afford to live on their own. So they want to join forces with someone else to share the bills. And typically you'll find that in hubs where you have maybe a hub of solicitors, officers. Doctors is key to that as well, near hospitals. So you can make really good money from HMOs being in the right location. And as property is, it's location, location, location. Make sure that you choose the right place to invest in your money in the right property. Which one offers better returns, service accommodation or HMO? And I've had both. I've got to be honest with you, I didn't like either. And the reason for that, by the way, before you disconnect, was simply because it was just too much time management. I have businesses that I have to deal with, which means I've got staff, clients, etc., which all takes up time. Having properties like this, either service accommodation or HMOs, is more time consuming than standard buy-to-let, single-let properties. But that said, which one offers best returns? And again, the one thing I would say is that service accommodation, if you're in the right location and it's the right month, then you can make a heck of a lot of money in service accommodation, furnished holiday lets. But again, you need to be on the right portals. Booking.com is a great one. VRBO, if you're doing Americans, by the way, that's always useful if you have foreign assets like that. But you need to be on the right portals to really get it. Airbnb is obviously the classic one. If you look at the trends, you need to make sure you spot the right ones. There's no point having service accommodation that is left empty. You need to make sure that your pricing strategy is correct and that you're charging the right amount. Don't overcharge, don't undercharge, because either way, you may not make as much money as if you've got the right sweet spots. Now, HMOs, you can make good money. And the one thing about HMOs is that it does give you stability. So it might not get you the £90 per night per stay. But actually, if you've got 5, 6 tenants in your property and they're all paying £400 each, well, actually, that's a substantial amount of money that you could be making. So it gives you stability. I do like HMOs for that. But you know, horses for courses, you've got to really understand how much time do you have on your hands and what kind of money you want to be making. What area are you in as well? Because depending on the location, it may lend itself better to service accommodation than HMOs and vice versa. Another question, what are the startup costs associated with setting up a service accommodation business compared to a HMO? Well, to be honest, in both cases, you'd be buying a property, you've got the purchase of the property itself, stamp duty, land tax, legal fees to buy that property. So it's pretty much the same. However, the one thing I would say is the decor, the furniture that you put into a service accommodation or furnished holiday let may be a higher standard than HMOs. The reason why I say that is because you are typically going to be competing against hotels. So if the standards of the hotels in your area are really high, then you need to excel beyond their standards for people to stay in your property. Another one is management and maintenance. What are the differences between service accommodation and a HMO? And the thing I would say about this is that you've got to think about the type of business you are in. Service accommodation, furnished holiday lets, you're typically going to be looking after people that stay a few nights or up to 2-3 weeks. And once they leave your property, you have to go in, you have to clean it. If there's any damages to furniture, you're going to have to fight with them to get the deposit back or to withhold deposit. And then you have to replace the furniture. Now, that's okay, but that means you've got to do that every time a tenant leaves or a guest leaves. Where a HMO, typically you would hopefully have them for staying with you for more than the AST of 6 months, but hopefully longer than that, maybe a year, 2 years, so which you don't have to do that. Now, the maintenance problem with HMOs though, is that there can be a lot of damage to the property, especially in the shared areas, such as kitchens and living room spaces, lounges, because they're all collectively using it. And if there's a breakage of some type, most chances they're not going to tell you who did it. They will just leave it. And you have to find out that it's broken by one of those that say, hey, someone else broke this and you need to fix it. Not sure I spoke in that way, but anyway, you know what I mean. So from that side of things, you do have a lot of maintenance and issues really with tenants. You know, tenants fighting amongst themselves. I remember a HMO whereby I would have get a phone call from a tenant at 10 p.m. saying that another of their housemates ate their sausages in the fridge, which was clearly labelled as theirs. I have no idea what I was meant to do with that. So I sent a group WhatsApp chat to say, hey, do you mind not eating other people's food? And if so, make sure that you replace it or at least give them some money. Not much else was said about that, but you can see already that there are fundamental differences between service accommodation and HMOs when it comes to maintenance.